Hey guys, it's Jayla. Welcome or welcome back. I am very behind in filming. So behind. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Last week was so insane. I'm filming this on the 25th of March and I usually get this up by the 23rd of March. And I still have like Turn and Burn and It's Painting Cats and Dogs I haven't even filmed yet. I may have to skip Turn and Burn this month. We'll see if I can get everything kind of filmed and edited and stuff. But anyway, it's just been crazy. I was at my family's lake house for the weekend, not this past weekend before. And then I came back on Sunday and Monday flew out. I was out of town Monday and Tuesday until super late. And then this past weekend was my niece's 16th birthday party. So I went and helped my sister Friday and Saturday. It was just, I barely had time to breathe this past week. I'm behind. Hopefully I can catch up. We will see. I may have to skip a couple of videos as usual whenever I get behind. But anyway, we do have Ziggy here. He's kind of hiding behind my head. Hopefully he'll hang out back there and take a nap. You want to take a nap? Everybody wants to see you. Why don't you take a nap? Yeah. I can't pet you this whole time. I gotta catch up, buddy. Lately, okay, so tangent, but Ziggy is not usually a very cuddly kitty. Like, he wants me to pet him, but he doesn't sleep on me. He sleeps next to me. But he doesn't like cuddles, But over the last week or so, week and a half, he's been coming to bed and like laying on my chest, and it's so sweet. So sweet. I don't know if he's going to continue to do it, or did he just miss me while I was out and about? You want to get in a basket? Let's see if he gets in the basket. No basket for you? Anyway, moving on to what we're going to be talking about today, which is paint on every palette. This is a project that I was originally inspired to start by watching Paula at A Beauty Guru Made Me Do It. She has been posting these videos for quite some time. The original creator is Lady Pansalot, but there are other projects like this that go around. Anyway, moving on to how I run this project. I have 3 different categories. The first is, one of them is Project Level Up, created by Sophie, Alexandra, which I will share with you the palette that I'm working on for that. I'm currently on level 2. And then I also have 5 palettes, which are all randomly chosen for me, but the first 5 are the ones where I pick the shades. And then the next 3 that I'm going to show you are the shades are randomly chosen for me. So let's see which palettes I was working on. I had the first 5, again, where the shades were chosen by me, was the ColourPop Lilac You A Lot palette, the Pat McGrath Utopian Dreams palette, which is very dirty, the ColourPop Control Alt Glam Marielle, and ColourPop collaboration, the Dose of Colors Blushing Berries palette, and lastly, the ColourPop New Millennium palette. New Millennium, yeah. Then the 3 palettes where the shade is randomly chosen for me. The first one is the ColourPop and Nightmare Before Christmas palette. Then I have the Pat McGrath Moonlit Seduction palette. And lastly, we have the BH Cosmetics Romantic Nomad palette. Then lastly, I have the Level Up palette, and last month I pulled the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. What's he doing? He got the basket. Hi! You like the basket? I didn't even see him do it. Maybe I got it on camera. So the question is, did I hit pan in any of these palettes? And the answer is yes. I have 2 palettes with pan. They both come from the first section, and they're both ColourPop, surprisingly. The first one is finally I hit pan in this Lilac You A Lot palette. I was working on the shade Iffy, which was this purple here. You can see my pan. This is a beautiful purple, and I really enjoyed using this alone. I mostly used it to mix, to be honest. This swatch is terrible. That's better. So there's the shade there. Really loved working on this. And then the second ColourPop palette I hit pan in, surprisingly, is the New Millennium palette. You probably noticed I covered up that last shade when I showed this palette. I was really surprised at how quickly I hit pan on this. I'm working, this shade right here is called Woot Woot. Was that right? Woot Woot. Yeah. This was very, very powdery. Very powdery. Which, you know, sometimes you have palettes like a Natasha Denona or a Pat McGrath where you work on it for ages and it takes forever to hit pan, and then you got shades like this where you use it for a month and you hit pan. So it's fine. I'm happy with it. So 2 ColourPop palettes rolling out. Very exciting. Now for the other palettes I'm working on, I have the Pat McGrath Utopian Dreams palette. And in this one, I'm working on Astral Amethyst Moon. I love this shade. I used it the other day. I love it. Now I can tell you it's going to take me forever to hit pan in both these Pat McGrath palettes because these take a long time to hit pan in. And it's not like I'm not using them every day. You know, I've got other eyeshadows I'm working on, but there's the shade there. It's gorgeous. Let me actually take off these first 2 because we're not working on this anymore. So that is Astral Amethyst Moon. I do have a slight dip going in there, but you guys, it's going to take a long time. I need like a pointed brush. I usually don't do that, so I probably wouldn't do it, but that's probably what I would need. Next up, I have the Marielle and ColourPop palette Control Alt Glam. And the shade I'm working on in this one is called Glitch. I have used this one a couple of times. It's this beautiful turquoise shade. I think if I focused on this a bit more, I'd definitely be able to hit pan. But I just haven't been. I've been working on some greens. So anyway, there's the shade there. Gorgeous. And the last palette I'm working on in the section where I chose the shade is the Dose of Colors Blushing Berries palette. And I'm working on this first shade, which is called Berry Chic. They have it, this one's called Berry Black, I think. This one is Berry Chic. It's weird because they have it, the way they have it on the back is where the actual shadow is. Anyway, you can see I have started to wear away the pattern that's in the pan. I've been using this pretty religiously, but because I've been doing a bit more like purpley looks, I've been working on another shadow that's in my Level Up palette more so lately. So, I mean, I know from experience this takes forever to hit pan in. You know, it's a matte and it's tightly pressed in there. So it's going to be in here a while. Moving on to the shadows where the shade was randomly chosen for me. The first one is from this, wait, that's the back. The first one is the ColourPop and Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas palette. And the shade that I got randomly chosen for me is this one, which is Meant to Be. But this shade is not the actual shade Meant to Be. This was from one of the Kathleen Lights palettes. I feel like this is really, really close to hitting pan. This is another one that's very kind of powdery, crumbly in my opinion. So you can see I've got a nice dip going there. I think if I use it a couple more times, I'm probably going to hit pan in that. Next, did I get shadow on my face? No. Next up is the Pat McGrath Moonlit Seduction palette. Again, similarly, I'm working on a special shadow in here, which is this one. This shade is called Blitz Venus. And I've definitely used this a couple of times. I do have a bit of a dip going. This is such a pretty shadow. I'm going to put this one over a wet base. I mean, both these Pat McGrath shadows are gorgeous. Oh, so pretty. So that is how that one's going. I do have a bit of a dip, but again, I feel like these pans are very deep. So it's going to take some time. And the last shadow I have is from the BH Cosmetics Romantic Nomad palette. And I have this shade rolled in. I don't think I've touched it at all. I've got so many, but I feel like I can pan in that really fast. I've got so many other things going on, of course. I just haven't touched this one yet. So there's that shade. So there's my palette. This is very different, especially now that I took out those two like purple and magenta shades. It's a interesting palette combination. I'm kind of curious about something. Ziggy is totally loving the basket. Oh my gosh. I'm curious what would happen if I took this shade from the BH Cosmetics palette and I topped it with the Pat McGrath shadow. Wow, that's beautiful. You can see the difference. Oh, that's pretty. But to me, that's more of a winter shade. So that's the struggle. Okay, we are going to pull in 2 new palettes. Actually, let's do 3. And I feel like I'm so close on this one. I'm going to pull out a 3rd palette in for it, but I probably won't start using it until I hit pan in this one. So we're going to pull 3 new palettes in. Ooh, yay, exciting. Marley was making some weird noises, so I went to check on him. He's like, "Where'd you go, Mom?" Okay, 3 new palettes, and I will choose the one where the shade is randomly chosen for me. First up, we have J-Cat Beauty Melrose Avenue. Okay. Next, Milani Most Loved Mattes. Oh my God. Okay. And number 3, ooh, oh, Natasha Denona palette. 5. This is in one of the 5 pan palettes in Jubilee. Okay. Okay, let me grab these. I will be right back. I forgot to talk about the Huda Beauty level 2 palette. I'll talk about that after we finish looking at the Pan Those Eyeshadows palettes. Okay, guys, these are gonna be tough. First, I have the J-Cat Beauty Melrose Avenue eyeshadow palette. This is a 24 eyeshadow palette. And this is what this one looks like. So lots of pinks and purples and some neutral shades over on the right. I really don't use shades like this very often. So I'm probably going to be the person who I want to pick the shade out of this one. Next up, I have the Milani Most Loved Mattes. Oh, sorry, it's dirty and reflective. This is going to take forever to hit pan in, but there are the shades. So there's 12 mattes in here. It's beautiful. It's just going to take forever. And then lastly, I have the Natasha Denona 5 eyeshadow palette in Jubilee. Now, I think this one originally had a yellow. I moved some shadows around in this palette from some of the other Natasha Denonas I have. I think there was a bright yellow and a blue, like a dark blue shimmer. I can tell because you can see the blue around that dark brown. I think these are all okay for me to work on. So I'm going to choose this one as the one where the right shade is randomly chosen for me. And this one and the other one, I'm going to choose the shades. So let's first see what shade is randomly chosen for me from the Natasha Denona palette. So again, there's 5 shadows in here. Let's do the Pretty Random app. All right, here we go. Well, let me turn on the brightness. 1 to 5. Let's see what I get. Number 3. Oh, of course. It's the really dark matte shade. This one here. I don't know what that shade is called. It's not called Limoncello. That was the original yellow shade in here. So here, oh, you know what? I can tell you what's in here, what this color is. I have this, I think I've been asked about this magnet before. This is from Inglot. Oh, the shade's not on the back. Dang. I have got a cat hair or something irritating my nose. Okay, so here is that shade from the Natasha Denona palette. Next up, let's pick a shade from the J-Cat Beauty Melrose Avenue palette. Okay, since we're going into spring, I'm going to choose this bright pink shade. There are no shade names for these, so we're just going to go with that one. And let me go ahead and swatch this for you. These feel really hard pressed, so I'm a little worried it's going to take forever to hit pan. There is the bright pink shade. And lastly, we have the Milani Most Loved Mattes palette. And let's see, this is what this one looks like again. I think I'm going to go easy on this one. Oh, these are pretty powdery, which is not a bad thing. I'm going to be easy on myself here. I'm going to go with this light cream shade. This is the shade Fancy Vanilla. Because I'm almost finished with a shade that I use to kind of blank out my eyes before I go in with shadow. And I'm going to need something similar. So we're just going to go with this. Because it's going to be an easy matte to hit pan and I kind of need an easy one. So that's what I'm going to choose for this one. Fancy Vanilla. And plus in this palette, there are all of these like light shades. So these are all really nice, like first transition shades. I'm tempted to use one of these. However, I'm using one currently in the Huda Beauty palette. And I think that's what I'm going to hit pan in. And I also have one, this one from the Blushing Berries palette, this shade. It's not quite a first crease shade. It's more like a second crease shade. But I can also use this one as a mixer to tone down some of the other ones. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go with my original thought. Anyway, that is my current color story. So I'm really happy with these two shades. The dark brown is going to be a little bit challenging because I have two dark browns. Well, one is in my Pan That palette and one is in my Baby Pan That palette. But those are more like purples. This is a true like brown, which is good because I kind of need a shade like that. All right, now moving on to the Level Up palette I'm working on. So this is for level 2, the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. So for this palette, I would need to use each shade twice and hit pan in 2 shades. So here's what this one is looking like. Now I'll tell you the shades that I have hit that I've used twice are this one, this shade, which is one that I'm going to try to hit pan in. This shade, which I think is the other one I'm going to try to work on hitting pan. This one I have used twice as well. In fact, I have this on my eyes today. And then I've also used this shade twice, the blue. And then there are some that I've used once here and there, but there are 6 shades I haven't touched yet. So it's a work in progress. There's a lot of shadows in here. So it's going to take some time to kind of work my way through it. But I am currently mixing this shade and this shade together. It's like a first crease shade and it turns out so pretty. Here's what those 2 shades look like. That's a crummy swatch, but there's what the shade looks like. It ends up being a very bright pink, and that's what I used on my eyes today. And I think actually the interesting thing is when I use these shades like this one and this one, they seem pinker than what they look like in the pan, which I don't mind, but that is something to keep in mind. So working on that, but not quite at a point where I think I'm even close to hitting pan, maybe in the cream shade, but definitely not in the other one. It's going to take some time to work through that one. So anyway, this is my current color story. Super excited about the 3 new palettes I rolled in. I think it's going to be a little challenging. We'll see how I do. Anyway, that is going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you're doing well and staying safe. Please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Ooh! Okay, let me share with you the palettes. I do have a couple of palettes that I had pan in. 2. That was kind of anticlimactic. Okay. Say bye, Ziggy. sticky. Say bye. Okay, bye.